Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our daily word. This morning it is Monday morning. It is a chilly, sunny, but pretty chilly Monday morning here towards the end of April. As you can tell by my background, I am at home this morning. Today is a day where my legs will not work. And so rather than try to go down the steps I have to leave and get to my car, I decided to stay home, at least for this morning, and just do what I can do here and do the daily word, of course. So thanks for joining me for our time together. Excuse me, in this ongoing conversation. Excuse me, through Scripture this morning. I'm grateful, as always, that you've chosen to join me in this ongoing journey. I've chosen for our Scripture this morning Genesis 18, verse 12. Now, of course, this one verse is part of a larger story that we'll talk about, but Genesis 18:12. Sarah laughed to herself, saying, "After I have grown old, and my husband is old, shall I have pleasure?" Of course, this is part of the bigger story of Sarah and Abraham and them hearing from God that they're, after they're old, in their old age, are going to give birth and have a family. And this is all going to change the course of history, actually. And they're called to pack up their stuff and move to a new place, an unknown place. And Sarah laughs because, of course, this seems improbable. Now, it's true that a new baby is a source of great delight. You know, now, from a mom who just gave birth, the delight might be delayed. But, you know, we uh we know that the birth of a new baby is just an amazing thing. And we've, in my family, we've experienced that. It's an incredible thing when new life is brought forth and when your world is forever changed. But I think sometimes we limit God's creative power, creativity, and God's blessings when we limit things that are just new, like the birth of a new baby. That life is so much bigger than that. Sarah had enough sorrow in her life to last a lifetime. And time and again, she and Abraham were disappointed. But now the angel comes to her with this really good news of great joy that this life that's been hard, and now that she's old, her life's going to change. She gives birth to a child, and of course, the Greek, it's the child's name is Laughter. That's how it's interpreted. I wonder for us, as we live our lives, whatever age we are, young, old, in between. If you're like me, so today I just can't do what I want to do this morning. I have to stay home. Um, so you wonder, and look, I don't get much laughter out of it. It's a pretty hard pill to swallow some days. But I think we limit God sometimes by thinking that God's blessings to us have to be as new as a brand new baby, when instead God meets us everywhere that we are and changes our lives again and again and again, even in the midst of disappointment, like Sarah has had her entire life. And of course, their trusting in God changes the course of human history. So I picked this scripture because of my struggles. And we, Diane and I had weeks and weeks ago decided that next week, not now, but next week, I'm taking Sunday off and we were going to go on a trip. I have this bucket list of all these places I want to see. Places like Well, Grand Canyon, Field of Dreams, the Baseball Hall of Fame, some baseball stadiums. I have this list of things I want to do. I want to go to the furthest north, south, east, and west points in the United States. I want to see the sunrise and the sunset on those particular places. It's a big bucket list. So we've talked about it and talked about it, but we're not going. I can't go. Physically, I just can't make it happen. It feels like, we were going to drive to LeClaire from Ohio, from Sydney to LeClaire, Iowa, which is where Antique Archaeology is at. If you watch American Pickers, 6.5 hours, not a bad drive. I can see us getting there, making that drive, and then not being able to do anything and have to come home. It feels like a waste of time. And so I thought about this and I thought, my bucket list of all those things will just have to be a list. It's a really cool thing, though, things that happen in response to that. I'm like, well, I don't like it, but I'm just going to not go because I just can't. I've been getting pictures. I'm getting pictures from, um, I'm sorry. Sorry, I need to respond to that text. Getting pictures from Randy and Carol, who have been in Paris, France, who've been in Normandy, and are now in a small town, and pictures of the Eiffel Tower and this church in this small town that Carol sent me this morning. This church that she says is in a city called Rouen, Rouen. I'm not sure I pronounced it right, but I'm thinking, well, God's blessed me to see things this way, maybe. Sarah had given up hope, but God somehow moved in her life in an amazing way. I've given up hope of accomplishing my bucket list, frankly. I'm just going to leave them on a list. Don't think physically I can ever do those things. But those are big things. Those are big things. We had a big, even though it's not that far, we had lots of plans for next week. A big thing. We're going to make this big circle. We're going to do some really cool things. We were going to go to Field of Dreams next week. We're not. But I got to thinking about all of that in this text. Sarah laughed to herself and saying, after I've grown old and my husband is old, shall I have pleasure? Now, if you read the story, pleasure is lots of things, right? We can interpret it in lots of ways. I've given up, at least for now, the big, huge dream of this bucket list. But God continues to work, and I just know, that somehow I can still do the things that I need to do. And the cool thing is, I'm living vicariously this week through Randy and Carol. So, if you go on vacation and you do some really cool things, don't be afraid to send me pictures. I love it. I love it. I'll live vicariously through you. But just know that God, no matter our circumstance, our old age, Sarah and Abraham, God's not done with any of us yet. And that's the good news. Thanks for joining me for our time together this morning. As always, know of God's love that surrounds you, know of my love for you, and I will see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Have a great day.